Welcome to Tales and Truths. We're so glad you're here. This channel is dedicated to sharing powerful stories that inspire and touch your heart. If you're enjoying the content, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an amazing story. We've got something special lined up for tomorrow, and trust us, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for being a part of our journey. The courtroom moment that will restore your faith and kindness. It was a crisp morning in Brooklyn, and Laura Martinez had already been awake for hours. The quiet apartment she shared with her 6-year-old daughter, Olivia, was still, with only the soft hum of the bustling city outside. It was a normal day, except for one thing. Instead of rushing off to her job at a bakery, Laura was about to face a courtroom. A $200 parking ticket had led them here. She had no choice. The spot had been a wheelchair parking space, but she had parked there because she was in a hurry to pick up medicine for Olivia's recent fever. She hadn't meant to make the mistake, but now it seemed like a big problem, one that weighed heavily on her. As Olivia slept soundly on the couch, clutching her stuffed bunny, Laura couldn't help but feel guilty. She thought about how hard she worked every day, trying to provide for Olivia, and how this ticket seemed like another obstacle they couldn't afford to face. Laura kissed Olivia's forehead and whispered, "Come on, Liv. We have to go." Her heart raced as they left the apartment and made their way to the Brooklyn courthouse. The grand building loomed over them, with its imposing gray walls and guards that seemed as stern as statues. Inside, rumors about Judge Jonathan Reed's unyielding reputation filled the air. He was known for his strict approach to the law, and Laura felt small as they waited for their turn. She rehearsed her defense, prepared to explain her situation. "I'm a single mother," she would say. "I couldn't afford to miss work." But she wasn't sure if that would be enough. The courtroom fell into silence as they approached the bench, where Judge Reed sat, cold, unfeeling, flipping through his paperwork with methodical precision. Laura's knees nearly buckled when he spoke. "You parked illegally in a wheelchair-designated spot," he said, his voice booming. "Do you deny this?" Before Laura could speak, a small voice broke the silence. "Can we get pancakes, please?" Olivia's innocent words echoed through the courtroom. The room fell silent, every eye turning toward the little girl. Laura's face turned red with embarrassment, and murmurs rippled through the room. Judge Reed paused, his sharp gaze now fixed on Olivia. "Did you just say pancakes?" he asked, his tone softening, a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. The laughter that followed felt like a weight lifting from Laura's shoulders. With a surprising smile, Judge Reed announced that the case was dismissed, and he even offered resources to help Laura. For the first time, Laura felt a glimmer of hope. The tension in the courtroom shifted after Olivia's unexpected request for pancakes. The atmosphere, once filled with harsh judgment and discomfort, now felt different. Judge Jonathan Reed, known for his cold demeanor, paused, something no one in the room had ever seen him do. His gaze, previously locked on his papers, now softened as he focused on Olivia. The crowd shifted uneasily, unsure of what would happen next. Laura, her heart pounding, tried to apologize for her daughter's interruption, but the judge wasn't angry. Instead, his expression seemed curious. "You're hungry?" he asked Olivia, his voice surprisingly gentle. Laura, caught off guard by the change in tone, still felt a pang of embarrassment. She hadn't expected this, especially not from someone as intimidating as Judge Reed. Olivia, with her usual innocence, simply nodded. "I didn't have breakfast," she said matter-of-factly, her small hands clasped in front of her. Laura felt like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. She had come here for a parking ticket, but now, it seemed, the courtroom was focusing on her daughter's simple, innocent honesty. A wave of uncertainty washed over Laura. Could she possibly convince the judge to let her go? The whispers in the room slowly died down, and the usual sternness in Judge Reed's face seemed to fade. "What does your mom do for work?" the judge asked Olivia, his curiosity piqued. Olivia brightened and eagerly told him about her mom working long hours at a bakery. Laura's heart clenched as she listened to her daughter describe their struggles, the long hours, the tiredness, the constant battle to make ends meet. She hadn't planned to reveal so much about their hardships, but Olivia's honesty was unfiltered, and the judge was listening. Judge Reed, who had always been known for his rigid interpretation of the law, leaned back in his chair, contemplating the situation. "Sounds like a lot of hard work," he remarked quietly. His words, once so firm and unwavering, now seemed softer. He wasn't just seeing Laura as a defendant, he was beginning to understand her struggles. Laura's nerves were still there, but a glimmer of hope flickered within her. Could it be that, for the first time, someone was truly listening? After a brief pause, Judge Reed cleared his throat and addressed the room. "I've reviewed your case, Miss Martinez," he began, his voice steady but now filled with a warmth that hadn't been there before. "I understand the circumstances. And given your clean record, I am dismissing the $200 ticket." Laura froze. She hadn't expected this at all. The room, too, seemed to take a collective breath, as the weight of his words sunk in. The applause that followed caught her off guard, but the warmth in her chest was undeniable. This was more than just a dismissed ticket. It was a gesture of understanding, something she hadn't expected from the man known for his harsh rulings. The atmosphere in the courtroom had shifted, but the tension wasn't fully gone. Laura, still stunned by the judge's unexpected decision to dismiss her $200 ticket, wasn't sure what to make of it. Was it really happening? As she sat there, Olivia beside her, the world outside seemed far away. She had been prepared to face the worst, yet somehow, here she was, sitting in a moment of unexpected relief. But then, just as quickly as the calm had settled, a new weight hung in the air. Judge Reed, leaning back in his chair, shifted his gaze from Laura to Olivia, who still sat with her hands clasped in front of her. "I want to help you," the judge's voice carried across the room, firm yet gentle. The audience fell silent, everyone hanging on to his every word. Laura couldn't breathe for a moment. What did he mean by that? "I'm dismissing the ticket, but I want to make sure that you have the resources to take care of your daughter and yourself," Judge Reed continued, his voice steady as he slid a document across the desk. "This is a list of child care resources, job training programs, and even an online degree program that can help you get ahead." Laura's hands trembled as she took the paper, staring at the printed words, struggling to believe what she was seeing. she could hardly grasp the reality of the situation. "You're giving me these?" she asked, barely able to get the words out. The judge nodded, his face softening. No one should have to choose between taking care of their family and making a living. These resources can help you build a better life, Miss Martinez. The room seemed to grow quieter, as if the weight of his words had settled into everyone's hearts. For the first time, Laura's chest wasn't tight with worry. Instead, it was filled with a sense of possibility. This was more than she had ever hoped for. And it wasn't just the dismissal of the fine. It was the lifeline he had thrown her way, a chance to rebuild her future. Tears welled in her eyes as she clutched the paper, her heart racing. I don't know how to thank you," she whispered, overwhelmed by the kindness that had come from the most unexpected place. Judge Reed smiled gently. "There's no need to thank me, Miss Martinez. Just take the chance, and make the most of it." As Laura stood up with Olivia, the applause that broke out in the courtroom felt like a celebration of something far bigger than a simple case. It was a victory not just for Laura, but for kindness, for empathy, and for the understanding that sometimes, the law needs a heart. As Laura left the courtroom, the weight of the day seemed to lift, but she couldn't shake the thought that this moment was just the beginning. With Olivia's hand nestled firmly in hers, she stepped out into the hall, surrounded by the soft murmur of conversation and a feeling she hadn't allowed herself to have in years: hope. It was a strange sensation, unfamiliar, but comforting. She'd been burdened by so much for so long, but now, with the ticket dismissed and resources in hand, a new chapter was beginning. But it wasn't just the judge's decision that had shaken her. It was the realization that there was a kindness in this world, one that wasn't always about rules or laws but about understanding. Judge Reed, Brooklyn's toughest figure, had offered not just forgiveness, but an opportunity. His actions had given her a chance to escape the cycle of struggle that had defined her life. She couldn't deny the impact it had on her. She felt empowered in a way she hadn't known she could. As she walked down the courthouse steps, she glanced over at Olivia, who was chatting excitedly about the pancakes the judge had mentioned, her small face full of innocence and joy. Laura's chest tightened at the sight. How many times had she wished for a moment like this? A moment where they could simply breathe without the looming weight of bills and struggles hanging over them. Yet, even with the ticket dismissed and new opportunities on the horizon, Laura knew she had a lot of work ahead. Her mind raced as she thought about the future. Could she really make a change? Could she build something better for Olivia? It felt like a distant dream, but for the first time, it seemed possible. As they headed to their apartment, Laura's heart was full of resolve. This wasn't just a second chance, it was a complete reinvention. And she was ready. Back at the courthouse, Judge Reed sat in his chambers, reviewing a few files. But the moment with Laura and Olivia lingered in his mind. He wasn't a man given to sentimentality, but there was something about that little girl's honesty, her mother's quiet dignity, that had unsettled him. Maybe it was the reminder that the law could be more than just rules, it could be a bridge to something more human. It was a reminder that justice, true justice, was about lifting people up, not keeping them down. As Judge Reed sat in his office, he found himself thinking about Laura, her strength, and her determination. Maybe, just maybe, there was more he could do, not just for her, but for everyone like her. After all, the law was meant to serve everyone, not just the privileged. And in that moment, Judge Reed made a silent vow to himself. He would not forget the lesson he had learned today. As weeks passed, Laura's life began to take shape in a way she hadn't dared to dream before. With the resources Judge Reed had provided, she enrolled in online courses and secured child care assistance for Olivia. For the first time in a long while, she found herself not just surviving, but truly living. The future was no longer a looming threat, but a world full of possibilities. Still, she couldn't forget the moments that had led her here, the crushing anxiety of facing the judge, the public humiliation of being in court for something as trivial as a parking ticket, and the way Olivia's innocent request for pancakes had shattered the tense atmosphere and opened a door to something far greater than she could have imagined. As the months went by, the transformation wasn't just in her circumstances but in her spirit. Laura found herself smiling more often, her heart lighter. And Olivia, that sweet little girl who had caused a ripple in the courtroom with her simple request, continued to amaze her. Olivia was not just the light in Laura's life, she was a reminder that sometimes, even the most unexpected moments could change everything. Judge Reed, too, found himself affected by the encounter. He couldn't forget the moment he'd seen Laura's exhaustion, the raw honesty of Olivia's words. It had made him rethink his approach, his entire philosophy about the law. Justice wasn't just about upholding rules, it was about recognizing humanity. In the months that followed, Judge Reed implemented new initiatives in his court to offer low-income individuals access to legal resources, hoping to prevent others from slipping through the cracks. One afternoon, Laura and Olivia sat together in their small apartment, the aroma of pancakes filling the room. Olivia's laughter rang out as she playfully teased her mom about whether Judge Reed might actually like pancakes, too. Laura smiled, feeling that rare warmth in her chest, the warmth of hope, of opportunity, and of a life that was finally moving forward. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And for the first time in a long while, that was enough. The ripple of kindness had begun with Olivia's words, and now it had spread, touching the lives of more people than they could ever have known. The experience had changed everything for them, but more importantly, it had changed Judge Reed too. As he worked to ensure justice served both the letter and the spirit of the law, he couldn't help but think back to that day in the courtroom. Sometimes, kindness could be the greatest form of justice. And that, he realized, was the kind of judge he wanted to be. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this heartwarming story. Do you think Judge Reed made the right call by dismissing the fine and helping a struggling mother? How do you feel about his unexpected act of kindness? If you were in his shoes, what would you have done in that courtroom? Do you think small acts of kindness, like Olivia's request for pancakes, can make a big difference in the world? This story shows how one simple moment of compassion can change someone's life, and we'd like to know what you think. Share your perspective in the comments below, and let us know where you're watching from. Your insights could inspire others who might be going through tough times. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. We have more inspiring tales coming your way, so stay tuned. Remember, kindness can change the world, and it all starts with small moments like these. See you in the next video.